a very good evening to all of you. So today we have with us Hari Haran. Now he is a PhD research scholar at JNCSR, and he has qualified the interviews for all premier institutes of India, the ones for which the interviews are considered very tough, be it IIC Bangalore, be it JNCSR, or be it IIT Madras, right? So in this video, he'll share the valuable insights regarding the interview process. I know the video is pretty long, so what I've done is I've given you the timeline down in the comment section, right? So you can see the timeline, whatever thing you feel is relevant to your field. You can see the answer for that particular question, and also he has generously given his email ID as well, which you will also find down in the description box. So in case you have any query regarding the interviews, or if you have some other query related to GNCSR, I'm sure he'll be able to answer that, right? So let's just dive into the video.
So hi Hari, how are you?
I'm fine.
And
So far good. How are you?
How's the lockdown going for you?
It's going on good. Like I have been writing a review article. I've been reading papers.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I am also like a lot of my work is like regarding simulation. So I am like remotely accessing the systems and writing manuscripts, and you know how it is, right? So
nice.
Hari, can you give us like an introduction about yourself? Like I've already informed the viewers that you have cleared all three major interviews from IIC Bangalore, IIT Madras, and JNCSR. So can you tell what you are doing currently? What is your topic and your brief introduction, I would say?
Yeah, I'm Hari Haran. I did my BSc and MSc from Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning in Puttaparthi. I had cleared CSIR, JRF, and GATE, and I had even cleared my interviews at IIC JNC. Currently, I am a PhD student, first year PhD student at JNCSR.
Okay, so you did not take any break, right? When after masters, you went to PhD, right?
Yeah, I haven't taken any break.
That's a great feat. So, like among the three top institutes, how did you make a choice? Like, I think all three of them are best in their own way. So, how did you make a choice and you went for JNCSR over the
other? Like something I personally feel for PhD is it's to know your field of interest. So we need to choose a field of interest. So I felt JNC was giving me exactly like what I wanted in my field of interest. I wasn't sure in IIC that if I may get under a professor whom I wanted, or in my field of interest to be more precise. So that way I felt doing something what you like, it's better than doing something else. So in that way I chose JNC.
Okay, that's nice. So what exactly, like you said, it's on chemical biology and basically related to chemical biology, your research work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think you still might be in the very like initial phase of the research, right? Okay. So like what I wanted to ask is like so when did you clear your CSI? That was during your masters, I think, right? Before coming for the interviews.
It was it was last year, my second year of master, June CSI had cleared with an all India rank of 58 JRF, and December I cleared with an all India rank of 60. And then after my masters, I had given my interview at IISc and JNCSR and IIT.
Okay. So before we come on to each interview, like one after the other, so that you like, because I know this for a fact that many students are unaware of how the environment is. Like, is English, like speaking English, necessary, or do they really count on the concept? So there are a lot of questions that are there in viewers' mind. So before coming on to that, one basic question that is there: how do you manage your master's examinations along with CSI? Like, how do you simultaneously prepare for both? Do you need to make any sacrifices? Like, if you want to do well in CSI, do you have to sacrifice a bit for your semester exams? Like, should you be prepared for not getting really good marks? Is that something that you thought of?
I personally don't think so. Like that. Like actually, there is nothing different what we read from masters to CSIR exam. Like more or less both are same. So whenever I was reading something for my master's semester, I parallelly used to solve CSIR papers. I used to see what kind of questions they ask. So if something which may not be taught in masters, I try to learn it by myself, little bit extra, whatever they used to teach in masters, for especially for CSIR. So when I was preparing for CSIR, my master's thing was like I was conceptually clear, so it helped me even in my master's degree actually.
So, but like, for example, if you have 8 hours of classes or 6 hours of classes daily, along with let's say some research work, so how much time did you used to give for CSI preparation, or like in the month of May to June when you have your exam, like the exams get over, then you prepared wholeheartedly for CSI. So how did you like go about it?
Like something in my first year master's program, I used to spend morning. I used to get up around 5 or 4:30. I used to study 1 hour sincerely. That was 1 year. I kind of studied a bit, but I felt actual preparation, that was basically to understand the concepts. I did that, but as such for exam, I prepared only doing after my first year masters second semester. I had a break for 45 days vacation I had. So
Right.
at that time, I prepared for exam. That was the main time I had prepared for the exam. And then I after 15 days after my vacation, I gave my June CSIR. So I feel if we are clear with the basics, it's enough. 45 days is more than enough for preparing for the exam.
Right, right. So, for preparation, what do you feel was the most helpful thing? Was it reference books? Was it like some kind of notes that you had made or you had acquired from somewhere? Was it practice of questions? So, among the three, what do you think was the most important aspect in from the
I
exam?
mean, uh, to be frank, we need to know all three in a right balance. We have to take it. Like for example, I made my personal notes from standard reference book. I had made few personal notes for this thing. And I used to see during the vacation time. I used to see a lot of YouTube videos. Especially, I thank Seti for it. Like his videos were quite helpful and it was even helpful in preparation. Actually, he just said the important topics to be covered. Like he does an examination analysis every year. It was very helpful for me to. It was very helpful for me to understand. What's important. I personally feel the most important part is also solving papers. I solved some past 9 to 10 years paper multiple times. Like first time when I solved, I was getting a confident. I was not able to solve it with speed. But second and third time when I solved the same paper, I was able to understand the question easily. I was exactly knew what they're asking for. So that way it helped me. Like repeated solving of same paper also helps a lot. It gives a lot of confidence.
Right. So, like, what I can get from the crux of your information is that, like you say that clear your concepts in your master's first year, like thoroughly clear your concepts, and then when you have those 30 days of break after your semester exams, at that time you focus on the important aspects and the questions, basically.
Yeah. Yes. That's it.
That's a valid and a respectable you can say strategy, right? So yeah, guys, you can follow this strategy. I think that is like technically very sound, and I think by that you would not lose your semester marks also, and you could do well in the CSR examination also, right? So coming to the interview, so which of the interviews did you give first, and was that your first interview for PhD? Or like did
Yeah.
you just like you just filled these three institutes only, or you went for the interview only to these three institutes or any other institute as
I had and I went to NCBS. Only 4 institute I had given interview. I was somehow sure that I could clear. I don't know what was it, but somehow I was little confident. Maybe I can get in either of the four. And NCBS also I had given interview. 4 places I gave.
well? Okay, okay. So where did you go first for the interview? Like which was your first ever
Uh,
interview?
my first interview was in IIT Madras.
Okay,
Like as others, I was also not sure what they'll be asking in interview. Like a general thing, what I heard from seniors or something is generally students panic for interview after they enter the panel, see the panel. So I personally feel there's a general problem with many of the students, even though they know things, they were not able to express it. Then
it might
see
be a little
one important thing is
intimidating seeing such big professors as sitting in front of you, right?
yeah. So
Okay,
when I entered for organic chemistry department, I could see a panel of some 7 to 8 professors sitting. I personally feel that professors are very friendly there. They always try to bring the best out of you. They always help you out. if they do not know, if we do not know, they always help you out, and they try to know what we actually know. They try to know that. They're very encouraging in a sense. um, it was in IIT Madras. It's like interviews for just 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. Interview will be done, and it was like they had given me few reaction, something like on enamine. They had asked me few reactions, and like they give me a paper to reagents, to reactants, and then ask me to write a mechanism without giving the product. Like it was like kind of multi-step. Like I wrote the first step, and I was not sure of the second or conjugate. Some intramolecular reactions were there, which I wasn't sure. So then they helped me. I was still not able to pick up, but they gave me the final product, and then they asked me to do the mechanism based on the final product. So with that, I was able to get the mechanism and the answer correct. So that way, they always help you. They support you. They try to um, give some hints. Like we should be alert enough to pick up those cues from them, and then we can proceed. That way, they are very friendly.
Right. So
That's
did they ask
one
you?
of the biggest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the biggest thing we should keep in mind, that professors will always be helpful, and we should be open-minded and to get the hint.
Right. Right. So yeah. So what I wanted to ask you, like since you have done some bit of research work also in your masters, like so did they ask you anything about that, or it was more about the fundamentals?
At IIT Madras, since the interview time was just 15 minutes, they didn't ask me anything. Even though I had my master's thesis printout, they didn't see anything of that. They just asked on the fundamentals and some reaction mechanism,
Right.
something of that sort.
Right. And what do you think? Like, I don't know if you have experienced this or not, but if your colleagues who had gone for these interviews, like a lot of students ask me, like, do you need to know good English, or is it only that you can communicate in English? What are your thoughts about that? Do you have any idea?
I don't think so. They expect us to be very fluent in English.
Right.
Just if you are able to convey whatever you feel, that should be fine, I guess. You need not be fluent. This is with my limited experience, I'm telling.
Okay. Right. Right. So, like in short, in IIT Madras, it was a short and sweet interview, you would say.
Yeah.
So then, when did you Then you headed on to which institute?
Then after IIT Madras, after 3 days, I had my IAC interview. IAC I had given in IPC, Inorganic and Physical Chemistry department, as well as in Organic Chemistry department.
Okay.
But I had given IPC as my first preference for interview.
Right.
My first preference for this thing. So in IAC, it's like 2 rounds of interview. For me, my first round went for 45 minutes to 1 hour. Around 50 minutes, the first round went.
First round was. Just to break in between, in IIT Madras, how many panelists were there who were interviewing you?
I went in organic chemistry panel. There was only one panel for organic chemistry as such.
Yeah. So how many members were there?
Around 7 to 8 were there, I guess. I was not sure.
Right.
7.
Okay. So yeah.
So that was the thing. And coming back to IAC, it was like some 2 panels were there, I guess. I'm not sure. Where there are some 5 professors in each of the panel. So our interview went for around 50 minutes, 50. Generally it takes to 40 minutes it will get over, but if you are doing little better, they extend for more time, giving that confidence on us. So we're speaking.
Right.
So that way it went for me till for 50 minutes or something. Initially it started. They had checked my MSc thesis. They asked more of my MSc thesis question. So one thing I would suggest is, if you have a thesis, it's always an added advantage for your interview. But be sure, one has to be sure in whatever they have done, they should have clarity in whatever they do. Right. That way it helps a lot. First 20 minutes went in my MSc thesis. They asked about various aspects. This is where I would like to tell that it's we who have to, as a person, as a student, we need to take the interview to our strength. Generally, professors, they do not have fixed set of questions. They ask questions based on what we say.
Right.
So if we say something that which we do not know, they may easily catch us. We will be cornered to a place that we won't be able to answer anything. So we should always tell what we actually know. That way, it helps us to take us to strength, and we can also satisfy even there in the interview
Like I would
panel.
just like to give one example. Like in my one of my videos on PhD interview, I had mentioned this, that for example, if you're mentioning that you characterize your compound using, let's say, single crystal XRD, then you should know the principle at behind single crystal XRD. Because if you're saying that word, you should know everything about single crystal XRD, at least how it works out, what's the principle behind that. Because the next question might be, what is the principle of single crystal XRD or how it works?
So that way, you have to be very careful regarding that. Like if they ask us something which we do not know, we can tell that we do not know that exactly, but something related to that we can say, provided we have some clarity in it.
Right.
That's what I would say. And next, they had asked me about my in IISc. They had asked me about my field of interest. Like I had said something like coordination chemistry and group theory, something like that. It has gone. So they asked me about few structures from octahedral structures. They had asked me, and then they gave me some copper complex. They told me to draw the structure, and then they had asked me for point groups of those octahedral structures. Like since we know that for complex there's a Jean-Taylor distortion, there could be a Z in or Z out, something like that I was saying. And then they had asked me to experimentally, how will you verify Z in and Z out? Like that time, I remember a video which I saw in Satis, your channel. I had seen a video like where you can differentiate between Z in and Z out based on EPR, EPR, like where a difference between G parallel and G perpendicular we can make out. So something I said the interview panel that I wasn't sure exactly how it is done, but I know that with EPR we can differentiate. So this way it is. Like they were very happy. They were quite impressed with my answer. Like they said, you do know this. So that way I really am thankful to him for that. And also that's what if you are sure of something, it's good. We can be, but I generally prefer not to tell something which we do not know, and it's better to accept if we do not know something.
Right, right, right.
And
Yeah.
And yeah, and then after some 1 hour or something, we get the first round results in IAC. So I got selected in the first round. When I went for the second round, it was like entire panel, all the members of IPC were sitting, and they said me that your first round went very well, and we do not want to ask you any question in second round. And then also they had said me, asked me for my field of interest preference. They had asked me, so I said I am interested in more medicinal chemistry, kind of a chemical biology kind of study. I would be always interested. And then they said me to go. Like, but to some people, they ask few technical questions in second round, depending on the first. If they are not that satisfied with the student in the first round, they ask questions in second round also, and it goes for around 15 to 20 minutes approximately.
Right.
Second round.
So, like, how did you cope up with this? Sometimes I'm not sure if you had this or not, but a lot of students have this fear that when they're going to going towards the entire panel, like when the entire panel is simulated. So, like, how did you calm yourself down? Or like you were okay with it? Like you were like, I've done well, so you were just confident that I'll do well here.
I was confident, like I was like, fine, whatever happens, let it happen. Like I was with that mindset. I have gone. Like
It
I'll
will be
give my best, whatever.
it would be an experience, be it
Yeah,
good or bad. It would be an experience.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Like I thought if I stress myself more, I may even forget what I know. So it's better not to stress up things and then sit up. Better to stay clear and stay positive.
Right.
Something.
So you were saying that like one of the reasons why you did not join ISC was because you were not sure whether you will get the field of your interest.
Yeah.
So could you like highlight that a bit?
It's like in IAC, in IPC till last year, it was like they choose some 5 to 6 students for each department, and my name was fifth in the list. So it's like the top 4 will be given a choice to choose whichever professor they want to go, and I'll be the fifth one to get the option, last choice kind of thing. So I was not sure if I really could get into the professor whom I want. I mean, the field which I wanted to work. So I was little uh, worried if I may get under some other field or if I may have to change my field. So in that way, I felt IISc was a little it- tricky for me to join there. So I have joined. At least in JNC, I could know in which field I'll be working. So I was mentally prepared for it, and it was also my field of interest.
Right. Yeah. So what I was asking was that like a lot of students apply for IISc, and even though they have cleared their CSR and they have cleared got a good ranking gate, but somehow still they are not able to make it to, like, they are not being shortlisted for interviews. So apart from like what do you think are the important aspects they look at when you're applying for IISc? Like, did you like, for example, some have the
I'm
motivation letter, some have the research interest recommendations. So what exactly do you feel is the important criteria for getting shortlisted at least for the interviews?
I'm not sure of this actually.
Okay.
Uh,
But what all did you fill in the
uh,
application form apart from your CSIR gate scores, your masters and bachelor's score? What else did you fill in the form?
and then, to my knowledge, I remember only filling these things, and then about like preference of each department.
Okay.
Like I had given for 3 department interviews, only those things I have filled. Only for JNCSR, I had there was an like motivation SOP kind of a thing was there.
Right.
Other than that, I don't think so. For IISc, I don't remember filling any such. Maybe for IIT Madras, I wrote a research proposal, but they haven't asked any question from that
Okay.
during the interview.
Right. So, like, what did you write in the research proposal? Was it like a very thorough, you can say, was it a very thorough proposal, or was it like a
No,
brief
no.
idea about the research that you wanted to
It
conduct?
was. I just gave a holistic view of, like, I was interested in kind of some kind of cancer research. Was interested
Right.
something like I was a RAS protein. Something I just gave a general overview of whatever has happened in that field, and then what can be done. Something that I had.
Like, what are the research gaps in the field, and like how can we address those research gaps, right?
Yeah,
Like, I'll give you a
yeah,
small
exactly.
idea, viewers, if you're confused, like how to write a research proposal. For example, let's say nowadays in lithium-ion batteries we use ionic electrolytes, but ionic electrolytes like have you can say some kind of safety issues, even though they have very high conductance. But you might have heard about laptops and phones exploding because of these batteries. So now to overcome this problem, nowadays solid electrolytes are coming, solid state electrolytes, right? And they have this advantage that they have highest thermal stability, and they are very safe compared to liquid electrolytes. But the main problem is that their conductance is very low as compared to liquid electrolytes. So this is a research gap, that their conductance is low. So somehow, if you are able to address this research gap, like if you research in this field, and if you are able to address this gap, that how can we improve the conductance of solid electrolytes? So like this gap you have to address through your research. So this could be a field of research, that how to improve the conductance of your solid state electrolytes. So something like that, you have to see what is the gap in the research and how you can work, and like you can research and bridge that gap between the application and the problem that we're facing. Okay. So yeah, Hari, coming back to now, since your after your IISc experience, you went to JNCS, right?
Yeah, I had went to JNCSR.
Right.
Like at JNCSR, it's like there's only one round of interview we have there, and the interview goes for around 1 hour, depending on this thing. So in JNCSR also, I had first 20 minutes. It was on my master's thesis. Like they were more interested in master what I have done. Like I had done some kind of even some kind of docking studies I had done, and they asked me what kind of work. They tried to ask the fundamentals in docking, the basis, the idea how it works, all those things they asked me. That was one thing. And then they had given me few reaction structures. Like they had asked me, they had given me few. I was like, they had given me few structures, and they have asked me to do the mechanism between what happens if the reaction would happen between these two, something like that. And they had also asked me same reaction, how it happens in acidic condition or basic condition. Like they generally how it is like in for organic chemistry, you need to be like thorough in some two fields, something like that. Like I was whenever anybody asked me, I was like little sure of enolate chemistry was one part, and other was NMR. NMR was one of my favorite topics to study always. And as an organic chemist, you should be thorough with NMR. So it's like they had asked me one interesting question, like how will you differentiate between intramolecular hydrogen bonding and intramolecular hydrogen bonding based on NMR? And that was one question they had asked me. So and then it should be like whichever field you tell, you have to be a little thorough in those things. That would help you a lot actually.
Right. So
And we need not know all the named reactions. I mean, remembering those things may not help much, at least for the interview.
like the
You need
mechanism,
to be like,
mechanism is important rather than the.
yeah, mechanism is important. Yeah.
All right. So like even
And
if even if they ask you about
like,
the reaction, you could just be like, I don't know what exactly happens in the
Yeah,
reaction,
yeah.
but if you give me the reactants, I might be able to give you the product.
yeah, that's the exact thing. And one more thing, very important, I personally feel for interviews, like if they ask you for some explanation or reasons, it's like something like suppose of A to D it comes, it's always better to tell A to B, B to C, and C to D. Generally, we think the logic in our mind and we tell the answer. But it's in interview, it's always better to shout out the logic of how we proceed. Generally, professors they expect to know your approach rather than the result. It's like a right approach is more important than the result. So that way, it's always good that we tell the approach by we shout out how we get the answer, how we arrive at the answer. That really helps. That also gives a confidence to the professors.
Basically, you have to let your mind out that whatever is running in your mind when you're doing it,
Yeah.
you should be like vocal about it.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly. Okay. So like in these all three interviews, like for example, did you like for example like you said that your interest was somewhere in coordination and like in you could say in IIT Madras you went with organic chemistry specialization, right?
Yeah.
So and then in JNCSR in JNCSR you went with inorganic chemistry.
Organic chemistry.
Organic. Okay. So
Like,
in only in ISC you went with inorganic.
IAC, I went in organic as well as inorganic, but my first preference was in inorganic. So I had gone second round. I went to only IPC.
Okay.
I didn't go for organic chemistry.
So like why did okay go ahead. Right. So why did you switch in ISC? Because your field of interest.
Like in IPC, I could see few professors working in chemical biology in IPC department.
Right. I got it.
So that way I was little sure. Okay, wherever I do, I'll be working in some kind of biological.
Right. So how did you start asking questions? Let's say for those two you went with organic and over here you went with inorganic and physical. So like what I want to know is like students don't like the initial aspect is very important that when you sit for the interview, like do they ask you a question or do they ask you about your research interest? How does the first question arise?
I mean, in IIT Madras, at least they didn't ask anything about my area of interest. They just directly went with some reactant, and they wanted to know my fundamentals, how good are those. But in IISc, they had asked me my area of interest, and then the project. And after asking about my project, they had asked me about some particular topic which I wanted to be tested in. Like as I said, I was interested in group theory or coordination, and then they have gone into those
So
things.
you mentioned over there that you are interested in group theory and coordination, and then they ask you questions based on those two topics.
Based on that, yeah.
Right.
So from there, that's what. From there, they had like I was telling some answer. Based on that answer, they had asked me the next question. So that's how I feel. It's like we have to be very careful while telling out any statement. We should be very sure that what we tell, because like guaranteed next question is going to be from something from what you say.
Right. Got it. And what about JNCSR? In JNCSR also, they asked you about your like, did they start with particular topic or did they ask you first about your interest and then they ask questions from that?
They had asked me about my interest, and then based on that, few professors who work on that field, they were a little more interested to know about, and they asked me a question.
Okay. So right. So I think that was pretty we can say interesting and it was quite informative. So in short, if I would like to put it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you need to concentrate. You need to be like when you're going for interviews, you need to prepare a few selected topics that you are interested in thoroughly, and your basic fundamentals about those topics should be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, I think Hari, that's great. Thank you so much for taking out time to address these small doubts that students had, and I think that would be quite informative for the students as well. And like I know that you might have you might want to sum up what you have experienced in these interviews. So could you give a summary of what you experienced all throughout these interviews, and you would like the learners to know?
Only I would say there are four takeaway points. One is be sure to have your field, choose your field of interest is the first thing. Second thing is be clear that professors are friendly, they're going to help you, they're going to support you, so you need not panic inside the panel. Third thing is whatever we say, everything matters, so be sure that you tell something that you know. The fourth thing is shout out, open out whatever is going in your mind. The logical process of the approach to a problem is more important than the solution.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Hari. And one last
Thank
question
you.
that I would want to ask you is that, do you think someone who's going for PhD, in one of your points only, you mentioned that you should be clear about your research interest. Now, somebody who does not have any research experience, like practical research experience, would you recommend them to do at least 6 months of research before deciding what topic they really want to do a PhD on, or would you advise that if you're theoretically sound in one topic, or you feel that yes, theoretically this topic interests me, without any practical research experience, should that person go for a PhD, or you feel that they should have some experience before joining it, like in your respect, because you have the
Yeah,
research
yeah.
experience, so you would know that whether it helped you or it didn't help you out in choosing a.
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel I prefer the former. Like, if you're not so sure of your field of interest, it's better to take a 6 months break and get to know your research interest. Like, it is something that you have to work throughout your life. Like, if you do some PhD in that, and mostly related to that, you do a postdoc or other academic research. So it's better to take a 6 month break and get to know your research field of interest. So that way, it will help you on a longer run.
Right, right, right. So yeah, I think that is also a sound advice, and I would also advise the same, that since you are going to devote a lot of time doing research, if even if you don't want to pursue after your PhD, if you want to leave out research as well, but still 5 years of your life you're giving to something that if you're not interested in, it will be a hellish experience for you, to be very honest. So it is very, very important to know that you like the subject before actually joining for a PhD. So if you have some experience, that would definitely be handy in order for you to know whether you're interested in that field or not. And so even though that's we can say it's not a very we can say insightful question, but I would want to know that currently, like almost 90% of the students I see after completing masters, they are hungry for jobs. Everybody wants to get a job, whereas you also know as a PhD how the things are. After PhD also there's so much uncertainty as to where your career is going to go. Like you cannot say for sure, but obviously if you are in a privileged institute, there the chances are quite high. But let's say if you are doing your PhD from let's say you can say not a very great institute or not a very well-renowned institute. So did this fear also come in your mind that like why not just go for a job? Why do a PhD? Like did these thoughts also come in your mind while you were opting for PhD?
um, like I personally felt I had to do some research. Even though I haven't explored much uh, other fields, but I somehow had that thing in me that I had to do some research. So even I was thinking, if I don't get in some good reputed institute in this year, I may take a break for some 1 year or something, and I'll try next year to get into a good research institute. So somehow I had that feeling that I have to do research. I was always interested in doing something new and nice to society. That way, I feel I could contribute to science as well as to society.
Right. So the uncertainty basically didn't bother you, as the uncertainty of the future
Um,
was because your
yeah,
research.
somehow I felt this is a time one can take risk in life. If
Right.
not now, then it can never be. It can never happen.
That's true. As a bachelor, you can take a lot of risks as compared to someone. who's tied up, right?
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, thank you, Hari. Thank you again for providing such insightful opportunity. You can say thoughts, experiences about the interviews, and I'm sure that this would definitely be a lot helpful to the future. You can say JNCSRNs, I don't know how they call it, or ISCNs, or whatever it is. So thank you so much for giving this insight.
Thank you so much, Ashby. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share with everyone. And thanks a lot for your videos. It has helped me a lot. Really, I would say. Thank you. Yeah.
Hey guys, so I'm a verified educator on Unacademy, and along with that, I'm also available on the Unacademy Plus platform where I'm taking live classes along with other educators. So, in case you're interested in attending the live classes, you can subscribe to the Unacademy Plus platform using my referral code, that is SETHI, and that will give you 10% discount. All right, and in case you're not interested in attending the live classes, you can watch the free courses that are available on the Unacademy. For that, all you need to do is go to the Unacademy website or download the Unacademy Learning app and search my name over there, that is ACT. Once you do that, you will get the access to all the free courses that are available on the Unacademy platform.